When you're a drowning man, one tactic is to try to sink the boat next to you and get other people into the water. And that's what Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, and now Pam Bondi are doing in trying to attack Barack Obama, because before the 2016 election, they claimed that he worked in a conspiracy with members of the intelligence community in order to promote the false theory, which has been proven, that the Russians were trying to interfere with the election results by getting Trump elected. That is an undisputed, irrefutable fact that even Donald Trump acknowledged. Even Donald Trump at the time, back in 2016 and before he met with Putin, acknowledged that the Russians were trying to help him get elected. He even reached out and said, to the extent that you're breaking into Clinton and the Democratic National Committee servers, go look for the missing emails. Do you remember that? And now, because he's drowning in the Epstein pedophile conspiracy cover-up, and Bondi is attached to him at the hip, as is Tulsi Gabbard, who's trying to save her job. Now they've decided to go after Barack Obama and call for a special counsel. What an abuse of the criminal justice system, of the role of a prosecutor, of the attorney general. When the Democrats get back in power at the midterms, they're going to move to impeach Pam Bondi and Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump. Let me break it all down for you right here on Legal AF. Here's proof positive that Donald Trump knew that the Russians were breaking into and trying to undermine Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee, because he called for them to continue to do it to help his campaign and find the quote-unquote missing emails from Hillary Clinton. Here's a clip.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press. If Russia or China or any other country has those emails, I mean, to be honest with you, I'd love to see them.
You remember that? And then when he came home from Helsinki, having met with Putin, he then rejected his own intelligence community's assessments and said, now I don't think that that Putin wanted to interfere on my behalf, or that he did interfere on my behalf. I believed him. Now, he said that. This is the same guy that in the last month, he had to admit that he'd been played by Putin and that Putin was full of shit and couldn't be trusted. Let's play that clip.
I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
So you've got that going on. Now, Tulsi Gabbard gets in as National Intelligence Director. I can't believe my mouth has to form that sentence. She's the director of 17 different intelligence agencies, all report to her. That position was created after 9/11. She has no qualifications for it. She was in the House during most of what I'm talking about during this hot take. And she concludes, and she's going to release not the Senate Intelligence Committee report, which was adopted by Marco Rubio, who's now Trump's Secretary of State, and others. Not the findings of the Durham report, John Durham, appointed by Donald Trump. Not Mueller and his special investigation. Not the Inspector General of the United States. Not his investigation. She's going to declassify the House and its Intelligence Committee, which is saying that the Russians went out of their way to try to help Hillary Clinton because they broke into her server and broke into the National Democratic Committee and had information about her and her mental state. First of all, what's her mental state? Hillary Clinton? Hillary Clinton has gone through more in American history and come out the other end than any person or woman alive. From Watergate investigation to Monica Lewinsky to other pay-to-play allegations about her when she was Secretary of State, to the email server being dumped on her, on top of her while she was running for office. And she came out the other side as a senator, as a first lady, as a Secretary of State. She has mental problems, and somebody wrote about them, and they're in the files of the Democratic National Committee. Where are they? Right next to the pictures of Donald Trump with little girls? Are they on the same server? A drowning man who knows he's going to drown, would rather blow a hole in the boat next to him and sink them. And that's what they're trying to do with Barack Obama. This is all a puppet theater to try to distract the American people from the obvious, which is Donald Trump is covering up for his close relationship with a pedophile and that he's all over the Epstein files. Does anybody think out there, and you can leave it in comments, that there's no connection? It's just a total coincidence that in a week where the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and CNN report hourly, and the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF about the close relationship between Epstein and Donald Trump as he tries to kill the story, as he tries to distance himself from his 15-year relationship with Epstein at his wedding, Trump's wedding at the Plaza Hotel with Marla Maples, Trump and Epstein partying together with young women at Mar-a-Lago. All the photos from 1990 all the way through 2004, putting them together on the same plane, at the same nightclubs, at the same dinners, in the same cars, with the same women. And now the revelation we just did on Midas Touch, that in a almost a 20-year-old deposition of Epstein, he took the Fifth Amendment when he was asked if he knows if Donald Trump was with young girls. I take the Fifth. Behind that whole backdrop and the gurgling sound of Pam Bondi as she drowns, as the new revelation that she posted Donald Trump in May about his name being all over the Epstein files. And I don't just mean the grand jury transcripts. I mean the truckload, her words, of documents that Kash Patel and the FBI reviewed morning, noon, and night, 12-hour shifts. His name was all over it. That's the client list. That in the name of 20 other people. And with that as the backdrop, they activate Tulsi Gabbard, the crash test dummy that's our intelligence director, who almost got fired off of the Iran bombing and her role or lack of role in it. And now she suddenly comes up with something that John Durham, special prosecutor, John Mueller, special prosecutor, the intelligence community assessment signed off by the Senate Intelligence Committee and Marco Rubio, the inspector general, all missed. That Barack Obama and intelligence community, including Secretary Clapper, the head of the CIA at the time, John Brennan, the head of the CIA, all worked together with Barack Obama in the last months of his administration to cover up that the Russians were really working to get Clinton elected? Nobody believes that. Even Donald Trump doesn't believe that. He knows because the evidence is irrefutable that the Russians want Trump. They don't want Clinton. They want Trump. Why? The same reason all of our enemies wanted Trump. Because they want to put Americans at each other's throats. They want a seething cauldron of America is destabilized by its very nature. This was the Trojan horse. Get Donald Trump to do it. Donald Trump is so divisive, is so the opposite of a unifier, a divider, that makes America weaker. It makes our institutions weaker. It makes our criminal justice system weaker. It makes our national security apparatus weaker. It makes our defense apparatus weaker. It makes our economy weaker. That's why they want Trump, not Clinton. Clinton was, if anything, you may not have liked her, but she was competent. She would have been a competent administrator and a president. They didn't want that. They wanted the turmoil, the turbulence of the Trump administration. And now all we're watching is this distractor, which we're not distracted by, right? We here on Legal AF, we have our hands firmly on the controls. We have our 270-degree fighter pilot vision. Nothing gets by us. Nothing gets by us. And now they're going to waste tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars appointing a special counsel of some MAGA right-wing crazy who's going to chase after Barack Obama and the Biden administration and continue to try to crap on them. That's not going to stop what's happening with Epstein. It's already been well documented that the Democrats are doing a tremendous job reminding the American people of the depravity and the immorality that occupies the Oval Office, not to mention the misogyny and the criminality. And so how do we fight back against this? I think we reject it. We ignore it. We'll follow it. We'll follow it. But we don't allow it to distract from our main goal: voter registration, resistance at every level, voting at the midterms, recapture of the House, open up the investigations that are necessary, including the impeachment proceedings against Pam Bondi, Tulsi Gabbard, and Donald Trump and anybody else that's involved in this. Now, at the bottom line, I don't even want to mention it because it sounds like I'm saying, well, don't worry about Barack Obama because he's got criminal immunity. But don't worry about Barack Obama because he's got criminal immunity. If we've learned anything from the immunity decision from 2 years ago, is that this United States Supreme Court has declared once and for all that if you do anything within the core constitutional powers of the presidency stretched to its outer boundaries and your job description, you're good. You're not going to jail. You're not getting investigated. You're not getting prosecuted. See Trump. So I'm not worried about Barack Obama. He's got plenty of money and time. If they want to tie him up, all they're trying to do is destroy our, I don't want to call them our idols, but our, the people that we look up to. They're trying to destroy the Democratic Party and the statespeople of it and make us feel bad about being Democrats. But we're not going to feel bad about being not MAGA. We're going to hold our head up high and continue to report on it right here on Legal AF. While you're here, hit the free subscribe button. I'm Michael Popok. Help us continue to grow this channel. Till my next report, this is Michael. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.